Mia stepped off the plane, the winter chill of Seoul biting at her cheeks. She clutched her suitcase tightly, excitement and nerves warring inside her. Studying abroad had always been her dream, and now that she was finally here, it all seemed like a dream to her. Her first week at Hanseong University was a whirlwind. Lectures, assignments, and the labyrinthine campus left her dizzy. But nothing shook her more than her usual encounters with Professor Leo, the young, impossibly handsome, and wealthy head of her department. Leo's presence was magnetic. Even from across the lecture hall, students whispered about his sharp jawline, designer suits, and the way he carried himself with effortless authority. But Mia wasn't impressed. She found him intimidating, infuriatingly strict, and utterly unapproachable. "You're late again, Miss Adeyemi," he said during his class, his voice calm but cutting. Mia flushed. I'm sorry, Professor. The bus." "No excuses," he interrupted. "Punctuality is not optional here." Mia muttered under her breath as she sank into her seat. What a tyrant. Her only solace was her roommate and new friend, Sola, a bubbly Nigerian girl who had been studying in Seoul for 2 years. "You'll get used to him," Sola whispered, "just don't let him see you sweat. That's his favorite thing, catching you off guard." Mia rolled her eyes but smiled. This was one teacher she had made up her mind to stay away from. On a day Mia walked into the small clinic attached to Hanseong University, her stomach fluttering with nervousness due to the foods she had been eating. After signing in, she waited in a bright, quiet room. The nurse called her name and led her to a small examination room. "Just a few routine tests today," the nurse said cheerfully. "Blood work, measurements, nothing invasive." Mia nodded, relieved. She wasn't expecting anything dramatic, just reassurance that her health was okay. After a few minutes the nurse left saying she left something behind. 20 minutes later, a doctor entered the room. But this was not the nurse. The man looked very young, much younger than the usual doctors she had seen, and extremely confident, almost like he belonged somewhere else entirely. He introduced himself as Dr. Park. "Hello, Mrs. Su-young," he said smoothly, glancing at the chart in his hand. "We'll begin the examination now." Mia had fallen asleep, so she didn't hear the name the doctor called out, but after the doctor finished speaking she woke up. The doctor repeated himself, "I'll begin now." Mia replied, "Sure doctor, but where did the nurse go?" Doctor answered, "I don't think Nurse Mimi can handle this on her own." Mia asked in a worrisome tone, "Is it really that bad?" The doctor replied, "Don't worry, just lay down, I will take care of everything." Mia felt a flicker of unease but shrugged it off. Dr. Park began preparing the equipment, moving efficiently. Everything seemed normal. Soon he was done and asked Mia to come back a few weeks from now. As soon as Mia left the hospital a nurse rushed into the doctor's office okaying frantic. "Dr. Park, there is a problem. This isn't her file," she exclaimed, rushing in. "There's been a mix-up with the samples. You were supposed to see another patient. But it was too late. The procedures had already been completed." A rare error in the lab meant that Mia's samples were linked with fertility samples from another patient. 2 weeks later, Mia returned to the hospital just as the doctor asked her to. "Are you Miss Adeyemi?" he asked. "Yes, I am," Mia replied. "Miss Adeyemi, due to the laboratory error, there has been a slight mistake." Mia asked in a worrisome tone, "What kind of mistake?" The doctor replied, "You are pregnant due to mistaken examination." Mia's mind went blank. Pregnant? That's impossible. There's no. The doctor sighed, looking genuinely apologetic. "I know this is shocking. The hospital takes full responsibility for the mistake. It's extremely rare, but medically, the result is accurate." A week had passed since Mia's routine checkup, and her life had been a whirlwind of confusion, anxiety, and secret planning. She had barely slept, barely eaten, and every waking moment was consumed with the impossible thought, how did this happen? Finally, determined to find answers, Mia returned to the clinic. She had requested a meeting with the doctor to review her results and determine the biological father of her child. The nurse led her back into the familiar, small examination room. Dr. Park greeted her, looking serious but empathetic. "Miss Adeyemi, thank you for coming back," he said gently. "We have reviewed everything carefully. Given the unusual circumstances, we conducted a full paternity test to identify the source of the mix-up." Mia's stomach tightened. She nodded, gripping the edge of the chair. Dr. Park opened the file and glanced at the screen. "The results indicate that the sample mistakenly linked to you came from a donor in our university's fertility program. Interestingly, the donor appears to match Professor Leo." Mia froze. Her mind went blank. Professor Leo. The young, wealthy, and strict mentor she had spent weeks fearing, resenting, and hating. "No, that can't be," she whispered, shaking her head. He's my professor. There's no way." Dr. Park gave a sympathetic nod. "I understand how shocking this is. The hospital is investigating how the error occurred. From a medical standpoint, the results are accurate, but legally and ethically, nothing implicates him in any wrongdoing. This was entirely accidental." Mia sank into the chair, clutching the file. With a shaking voice she asked, "Does he know?" He replied, "He does, but he doesn't know your identity yet." "I see, doctor, can I ask you for a favor?" He replied, "Sure. Can you keep my identity from him for now?" He replied, "Are you sure that's what you want?" "Yes, doctor." "Okay," the doctor replied. Mia rushed back to the dorm, both confused and lost. Professor Leo, the strict, irritating handsome mentor, who she hated. Why him of all people? And yet here she was, facing a pregnancy linked to him through an impossible hospital mistake. Her roommate, Sola, was waiting with a cup of steaming tea. "Mia. Where have you been? You've been gone forever." Mia dropped onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "Sola, my life is over," she stammered. Sola frowned, concern etched on her face. "What do you mean? What happened?" Taking a deep breath, Mia handed over the file. I'm pregnant. And according to the hospital, the donor, it's Professor Leo." Sola's eyes went wide. Almost spitting out what she was drinking. "Wait, the Professor Leo? The one you said was a tyrant?" Mia groaned. "Yes. That one. I don't even know how this is possible. It was a mistake at the hospital, but the results, they don't lie." Sola sat back, processing. "Okay, wow. This is huge. You are carry little Mr. Perfect right now. I'm sorry, I'm being inconsiderate. So what are you gonna do now?" Mia groaned, "I don't know." Sola asked, "Does he know?" Mia replied, "No, and I have no intention whatsoever of telling him." The following day Mia sat quietly in the back of the lecture hall, trying to focus on the professor's words. However, her mind, kept drifting to the events at the clinic. Every time she met Professor Leo's gaze, a strange mixture of fear, tension, and curiosity stirred within her. What she didn't notice was the sharp, calculating gaze of Hannah, seated a few rows ahead. Hannah had always admired Professor Leo from afar, obsessed with his wealth, looks, and authority. And now, something had changed. She noticed it first as a flicker, a glance from Professor Leo toward Mia. A sudden bout of dizziness forced her to lower her head, hiding her face from curious classmates. She could feel the heat rising to her cheeks. Nobody could know she was pregnant yet, especially not Professor Leo. Sola, sitting nearby, noticed immediately. "Mia, are you okay?" she whispered, passing a bottle of water across the desk. "I'm fine," Mia muttered, taking a careful sip. But the truth was far from fine. The fatigue, nausea, was driving her to the edge. Suddenly she rushed out of the lecture hall, heading into the bathroom to pour out her heart. Soon class ended when Professor Leo said, "Miss Adeyemi, can I speak to you for a moment?" She froze. "I'm sorry, sir, but," she said with a shaking voice. "I won't take much of your time," he replied. After everyone had left the lecture hall, she stood right in front of him with her heart beating so fast she was sure he could hear it. "Professor, how may I help you?" He stayed quiet for a moment, then asked his question. "It's you, isn't it?" Mia froze. "What do you mean, Professor?" He didn't answer but asked another question. "Why were you trying to hide from me?" Suddenly he began to move towards her. Mia didn't answer him but also began to move backwards. She continued to move until she reached the edge of the stage, losing her balance. That's when Professor held her waist, pulling her up, preventing her from falling. But unfortunately for Mia, Hannah was at the door observing everything. Professor Leo took Mia to a coffee shop. His usual composed expression softening. "Have you made your decision?" "I have decided to keep the child," Mia said, her voice trembling but steady. He nodded thoughtfully, studying her. "I understand." Mia blinked, uncertain. "What does that mean?" "Until the child is born," he continued, "you will stay with me. I'll make sure you're safe. That your studies continue. And that everything is handled responsibly." Mia felt a mix of relief, surprise, and gratitude. "Thank you, Professor," she whispered. "But I don't think I can move in with you." He gave a slight smirk. "Then should I assume it's because you are attracted to me?" Mia frowned slightly. "Sir, I assure you am not attracted to you in the slightest." He replied, "Good, then it shouldn't be a problem. I will pick you up tomorrow morning." Professor Leo then left immediately, giving Mia no time to protest any further. The following day, apartment was sleek, modern, and almost intimidating in its perfection. Mia stepped inside, her suitcase trailing behind her, as Professor Leo closed the door gently. "You can unpack here," he said, his tone calm but authoritative. "I've prepared everything you might need, clothes, medical supplies, and anything for comfort. You won't have to worry about school or meals while you're here." Mia glanced around, taking in the spacious living room, the neatly arranged kitchen, and the warm lighting. "It's a lot," she whispered, feeling both awe and anxiety. But nevertheless she fit in perfectly. The following day Mia got ready for class. Professor Leo offered to take her to school, so she accepted. Once they got to school, all eyes turned as Mia got out of Leo's car. Meanwhile, Hannah's obsession with Professor Leo had reached new heights. Observing his quiet attention toward Mia only fueled her jealousy. She started planning small but cruel ways to make Mia's life more difficult. Spreading rumors, manipulating group projects, and leaving anonymous notes that implied Mia was trying to attract the professor's attention. During one lecture, Hannah passed a note directly to Mia's desk. "You don't belong here. He's mine. Stay away." Mia read it. She folded the note quickly, trying to ignore the whispers from nearby students. She realized that hiding her pregnancy and maintaining her composure wasn't enough. She also had to navigate Hannah's escalating hostility. Soon it was the university's winter gala. The halls were alive with music, laughter, and sparkling lights. Mia had tried to stay in the background, hoping to avoid attention. But Hannah had spent weeks planning a more devious trap this time. Hannah had prepared her most malicious trick yet. She had slipped a drug into Mia's glass, intending to make her lose control, slurring her words, staggering, and causing a public scene. The goal was simple: humiliate Mia in front of the entire school and make her appear foolish in front of everyone, especially Professor Leo. Mia raised the glass to her lips. The room felt suddenly warmer, her vision flickering. She stumbled slightly, her stomach twisting nervously. Professor Leo, standing across the room, noticed immediately. His sharp eyes caught the subtle change in her movements, the way her grip on the glass faltered, the unnatural flush on her face. Without hesitation, he moved toward her. "Mia," he called, his voice calm but commanding. She blinked at him, startled, just as the drug began to take effect. He reached her just in time, steadying her with strong hands. "Careful, don't take another sip," he said, gently but firmly removing the glass from her hand. Mia's head spun, but Leo's presence grounded her. He guided her away from the crowd, shielding her from the curious eyes and whispers that had begun to spread. Hannah, realizing her plan had been thwarted, tried to act innocent. "Professor Leo, what's happening to Mia?" Leo's eyes blazed with controlled fury. "You drugged her drink. You tried to humiliate her, put her in danger." The room went silent. Students watched, stunned at the intensity in his gaze. "This behavior is unacceptable. You are expelled from this university immediately. You will not return. Do you understand?" Hannah stammered, flushed with rage and humiliation. "Wait, why am I the one being expelled? She is the one who had been trying to seduce you." "You're done here," Leo said coldly, signaling security to escort her out. Mia watched, a mix of shock and relief, as Hannah was firmly led away from the school, her schemes destroyed. Leo turned back to Mia, his expression softening. "Are you okay?" Mia, still trembling, nodded. Thank you. I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't noticed." He gave a reassuring smile, brushing a loose strand of hair from her face. "You don't have to worry about that." Just in that moment Mia could feel her heart beat out of her chest. What was this feeling? Was she really starting to feel something for him? The days to come were quite simple. On some days Professor Leo would become a total flirt, making her cheeks turn red without even trying. On other days he behaved as if she was just a student to him, and this was quite confusing to Mia. Did he like her, or was it all in her head? The afternoon sun streamed through the apartment windows, casting a warm glow over the living room. Mia was seated at the table, reviewing her lecture notes, when the doorbell rang. Leo frowned slightly. "I wasn't expecting anyone," he said, rising to answer. The moment he opened the door, a familiar face appeared, a striking woman with sharp features and an air of confidence. Her eyes immediately landed on Mia, narrowing ever so slightly. "Leo," the woman said, her voice smooth but carrying an edge of tension. "It's been a long time." Leo's expression softened. "Clara, it's been too long. Come in." Mia stayed behind, quietly observing. Clara's gaze swept over the apartment, lingering on her. The look was sharp, assessing, and Mia felt a chill run down her spine. "Who is this?" Clara said finally, her tone polite but icy. Leo replied, "This is a friend of mine, Mia." Clara turned her piercing eyes toward Mia. "Hi, I'm Clara, nice to meet you." Mia took her hand, but the grip was hard enough to break a bone. That evening, as Mia struggled to reach a high shelf in the kitchen, Leo quietly appeared behind her. "Here," he said, gently lifting the box down for her. Their hands brushed, and Mia felt a strange warmth spread through her. She quickly looked away, cheeks flushing. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Leo smiled faintly, his gaze lingering on her a moment longer than usual. "You don't have to do everything yourself," he said softly. "Let me help." Clara sat behind, jealousy flashing through her face. At least now she was sure of one thing: Mia was going to be a problem she needed to take care of. Clara's jealousy had reached a terrifying peak. She had met secretly with Hannah. Together they hatched a dark plan. Hannah handled the logistics, using her cunning to manipulate the school's security systems, while Clara's obsession with Leo drove her to push the plan further. Their goal was clear: kidnap Mia and remove her from Leo's life permanently. Mia was walking back from the library, textbooks clutched in her arms, when a van suddenly blocked the narrow street. Before she could react, strong hands grabbed her, covering her mouth. Panic surged through her chest as she was forced inside, the doors slammed shut, and the vehicle sped away. Inside, the dim space of the van offered no comfort. She struggled, but her attackers were too strong. Her mind raced, not just for herself, but for the child she carried. The van stopped in an abandoned warehouse. Mia was dragged inside, where Clara and Hannah awaited, flanked by the hired men. "Look who we have here," Clara's eyes blazed with fury. She held a knife, stepping close, her voice cold and dangerous. Mia replied, "This is your doing, Clara." Hannah came forward, grabbing Mia by the face. "Do you think you deserve him? I'll make sure you never see him again." Mia's hands instinctively went to her stomach. "I'm carrying his child," she said firmly, her voice trembling but unwavering. "If you hurt me or this baby, he won't let neither of you escape unscathed. Why don't we take care of that problem now?" Just as Clara's blade drew closer to Mia's throat, the warehouse doors burst open. Leo stormed in, his expression deadly calm but brimming with fury. "Let her go," he commanded, his voice cutting through the tense air. Clara held the knife closer to Mia's throat. That's when Leo asked, "Clara, why are you doing this?" Clara floundered, "Why you asked me? Leo the first have loved you since we were kids. But you never gave me any mind, and she comes along giving her everything, and now she is even carrying your child." Leo replied, "Clara, don't do anything you are going to regret, just put the knife down." "No, if I can't have you, neither can she." As she was about to move the knife. Precise move, Leo disarmed Clara, pushing her back. His strength and presence were undeniable, his control over the situation immediate. Hannah tried to intervene, but Leo's instructions were sharp and clear. Security. Moments later, Leo's men had discreetly alerted earlier restrained Hannah and the hired kidnappers. Clara struggled, but Leo's grip and authority left her no room to act. Mia collapsed against him, trembling. "Thank you. I thought. You're safe now," Leo said firmly, holding her close. "No one will harm while I'm here." The two women, Clara and Hannah, were left bound and defeated, their dangerous plot thwarted. As Mia's head rested on his chest, he said, "I love you, Mia. Listen, I don't care about the obstacles, the jealousy, or the world outside. I only care about you and our child. I want to be with you, support you, and face life together." Mia's eyes filled with tears, happiness and relief mingling in her chest. She pressed a hand to his cheek, feeling the warmth of his love. "I love you too, Leo," she whispered. "I felt it growing inside me, not just for our child, but for you. You've been my strength, my protector, and my heart." Leo smiled, pulling her into a gentle, lingering embrace. "Then we'll face everything together," he murmured, pressing a tender kiss to her forehead. "No one will come between us. Ever." Mia rested her head against him, feeling the steady beat of his heart and the warmth of his arms around her. The past dangers, jealousy, and trials no longer seemed so daunting. With Leo by her side, and their child on the way, she finally felt truly safe, loved, and at home.